And there is talk, Rob G, that Golden State, and I brought it up with Kalina Azubuike, who, as a Warriors color analyst, he did not think they needed Dame. He didn't like the idea of Dame being there. Now, I've got in my mind what I think Dame should do, but I'm going to say that for later. What were your thoughts about Azubuike saying that he doesn't like Dame with the Warriors? I mean, that defensive backcourt, it would be
it might be the worst. It might be the worst in the NBA.
It'd be bad.
but that pairing of Steph and Dame, in addition to being arguably the worst defensive backcourt, would be easily the greatest offensive backcourt you could assemble. And
well, I don't know about easily, but it'd probably be the best.
It'd be the most lethal.
Harden and Kyrie. You ever heard of them?
Yeah, but their games, I don't know if they really complement each other like that.
With the way Harden playing.
The way that Steph plays, I think that his game outside of Kevin Durant is the most easy to assimilate amongst all NBA.
Well, because he doesn't dominate the ball. I'll give you that.
Exactly.
Now, I think Dame will have to change a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's the question. Would he move more off the ball and, things like that?
Right. And what I will say, though, is I've floated this out on the Straight Fire podcast, Jason McIntyre, the one you don't listen to, which is fine.
I never missed the Straight Fire podcast.
But I had said when I had filled in for him a few weeks ago that I thought that this was the move for Golden State because I think that they are closer to being an NBA title contender than I thought they were coming into this last season. I thought their window was shut.
My goodness, what'd you expect?
No,
they were a freaking 9th seed. You expect them to be the worst team in the league?
No, but I thought coming into this past season, without Clay and him not only tearing the Achilles, but then following up with the torn ACL, I'm like, look, the window's done. Like, there's no way that even if he comes back, they're never going to be a legitimate title contender again. And
let me back up. I'm not going to let you slide with this. All right. We know Rob Parker is a Steph Curry hater.
Yes.
But on the low, you are too.
All right.
So just keep it real. You were surprised at how well Steph balled this year. Keep it real.
Yeah, I was. Okay. 1,000%. I knew that.
So stay there for a minute. Okay. Expound on how good Steph was.
He was able to carry the offensive load in a way I didn't think he was capable of. Like, I knew he'd be able to get his numbers because in today's NBA, if you give anybody the right amount of minutes and shots, they're going to get numbers. But he was doing it in a way that was winning basketball games. Like, There were times when he was the offense. Like, they had Steph Curry dropping 45 and the next closest guy had like 10. And everybody knew what was coming. You knew you only had to stop one guy, and they still couldn't stop him.
Well, see, that was the most impressive thing.
Yes.
Is that the entire defense was focused on stopping him. Double and triple teams.
Right.
And he still was getting his. I mean, it was incredible. So I just had to force you to give him his props.
Well,
but no, go ahead.
Even more than Steph, like, I didn't think that Draymond could anchor a defense the way that he did this past season either anymore.
Yeah, he was good.
Because the year before when Steph was hurt, I don't know if it was because the roster wasn't so good or he wasn't as motivated. He was tired from all the finals runs, but he wasn't playing that level of defense 2 years ago. And what we saw this past season is Draymond is absolutely capable. Steph is absolutely still capable. If Clay is even 80% of what he was, they're going to be a very good team. They might, have home court advantage without adding anybody else. But when you're that close and you have these guys where they are, there's no good reason for them not to go all in and try to capitalize on this window. So if Dame Lillard's available, I think he's a perfect fit for them. Bring him back to the Bay. I think it'd be great.
Look, I'm not mad at that. I agree with you wholeheartedly that forget all this. We don't want to give up all our assets. The time is now. You may never, in fact, let's keep it real. You probably will never, ever get another player of the caliber of Steph Curry. Okay, so you have to maximize this window. He looks like he's got, 5-6 years left at a high level. Okay, you have to maximize that time and try to win as many championships as you can with Steph Curry there. Because when he's gone, it could be a dry season for a long time. After Rick Barry left, it was dry for a long time. You had a few little nice, surges with Run TMC And then, 2008 when they upset Dirk Nowitzki and those guys.
Yeah, they won
playoffs.
one playoff series, and they're going to make a documentary about that team.
Right.
The We Believe Warriors.
Right. But you have to maximize this. Here's the thing. Look, there are questions. If you brought in Dame, how will he adjust? Will he be able to change his game defensively? I mean, you can hide bad guards defensively and, you can do some things. But I'm with you in that it'd be worth doing. If I could do it for probably, say, the 7 and the 14 picks, the draft picks they have, both lottery picks, and then Andrew Wiggins. I mean, and I like Wiggins, but obviously Dame Lillard is better. But Wiggins is a really good third option and a really good defender he became. But here's the thing. I'm going to throw something else out at you.
Hit me.
Because I really like this. What about trying to get Ben Simmons for Draymond Green? Now, I don't think Philly would do it.
Yeah, I don't think they would do that
You'd have to throw
either.
in Wiggins. So maybe if Philly would give you, I don't know that they throw in Seth Curry. They need shooting. And even if they got, if they got Draymond, they still need shooting. But they probably don't do it. But I think Ben Simmons would be great with the Warriors. He's like a younger version, and a younger, better version of Draymond Green. So I'd love that if you could do it. But here's what I said. I said, if I'm Dame Lillard, here's what I'm thinking. And I feel Dame's mindset has to be this. Look, I don't think he's quite as good as Steph, but he does, and he should. And he's looking at all the love Steph is getting. Steph is the second greatest point guard of all time. Is Dame being mentioned in those top 10 point guard lists? No.
Nope.
And one of the reasons why, is because he has yet to play for a championship, yet to get close. He got to the conference finals once where they get swept.
Yeah, by Golden State. Yep.
Yeah. So he knows, he's understanding now that for him to get the love and the respect and for his legacy to be what he wants it to be, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, all that. But for his legacy to be what he wants it to be, he's going to have to get into that championship picture. And so that's what I think. If not this year, he might give Chauncey a chance. But next year, if it doesn't go better, I think he'll be looking to go elsewhere. And if I'm him, now's the time. Nothing against Chauncey, but because Ben Simmons is available, if I'm Dame Dollar, then I'm going to Neil O'Shea, GM of the Portland Trailblazers, and I'm saying, trade me to Philadelphia for Ben Simmons. It would be that simple.
Wow.
Now, maybe Portland wants more.
Of course, yeah.
The salaries work out perfectly. You could just do that trade straight up. If I'm Dame, now I got the best big man in the league. I've got some shooters and defenders around me. I don't have to change my game too much. I just got to make sure the big man eats.
And that might be the biggest key, too. The difference between Philadelphia and Golden State is that Dame could still be Dame without having to really change the way he plays. What makes
That's why I prefer it if I'm Dame. Because if he goes to Golden State, yes, he might shine, but he's still going to be in Steph's shadow.
Right. And he'd have to change his game. And he'd still be fantastic, but it would not be the Dame Lillard that we're used to.
No. And because he's used to, I know he can catch and shoot to a degree, but he's used to having that rock in his hands.
Yep.
And shooting off the bounce. And if he's not doing that, is he going to be even close to as effective? But like you said, even if it's Embiid's team, Embiid's a big. You're not competing with him.
Exactly.
You're the guard, right? And Dame is a leader. And that's what they need in the locker room, is a leader. So if I'm Dame, I don't know that he'll do it, but that's what I'm looking at, Rob G.
I totally agree with you. And it's funny that you mentioned this because Mark Stein, who's a friend of both of ours, tried to get him on the show a few times, but there was a embargo.
At some point,
I'm sure that's going to get lifted.
Embargo.
Yeah, at some point that we'll be able to get him on. But he actually put out in his latest newsletter that Daryl Morey, quote, longs for Damian Lillard. That was number one. And number two, if they're going to trade Ben Simmons to Portland, it's not to bring CJ McCollum. It's only to get Dame Lillard. So that tells you, number one, where Philly's head's at, where they believe that Ben Simmons, they hold him in a higher regard than I think a lot of the basketball Twitter does right now.
Well, go ahead.
And number two, that they understand that there is no price too big to pay when you're at that level of team. Like the Golden State Warriors, I know you'd prefer to hang on to Wiseman or Wiggins or one of the lottery picks, but if the difference between getting Dame Lillard to your team is that, then you give it up. If the difference between getting Dame Lillard to Philly is Ben Simmons and Thibault and Maxey and a couple of firsts, I know it sucks, but you do that.
That's a lot.
And Chris,
they will need, like, I'd like to keep Thibault if I could, because he can defend.
I know that you would prefer to,
probably,
but
Ben and Maxey.
The Lakers had to tear down basically their whole roster outside of Kyle Kuzma to get Anthony Davis, and that worked out just fine. Because
they also had LeBron.
But once you, because the thing is, once you have your heavy hitters in the NBA, which is 2 or 3 guys, it's not as difficult as some make it think to fill out the rest of the roster. Because you just need specialists.
But what made me wince was Thibault. And I know he's not a superstar or even a star, but he's a great defender. And losing Ben makes Thibault's defense even more important. You see what I'm saying? And you might be able to keep him. Like Maxey's good. Maxey's legit. And Maxey can be probably can be a starting point guard in this league in the future. And so you might have to give up Ben and Maxey. And I do that. Because like you said, look, Philadelphia, for all the lore, right? All they got this great basketball history. They haven't won a championship since 1983. They had Charles Barkley, they had Allen Iverson, but never won a championship since 1983. They got to go out and get one. And Joel Embiid, who knows how much longer? I mean, I'm not saying his demise is on the horizon, or is imminent, I should say, but he might only have 4 more years at a high level with his history of injuries.
And that might coincide perfectly with Dame Lillard's last 4 years of his prime career. And Chris, I know, like I said, you don't want to have to give up Thibault, and I agree with you. I think he's a great piece to have on any team, especially a championship team. But you know that if it really came down to, they said, hey, Thibault, Simmons, Maxey, and a first for Dame Lillard, that's really tough to say no to.
Nah, I'm with you. And I agree. Look, you can get role players. All right, you can add those. But if I have a hub of Lillard and Embiid, I'm happy. I'm good. I still got Tobias Harris. I still got Seth Curry. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm good. I can rock with. Heck, look at Brooklyn. They don't have a ton of defenders. That's good. Them in Milwaukee will be your main competition. So Philly does have to improve. And that's what I think would be good for Dame. I think Simmons, you can build around him. I think you can play him kind of like Giannis in that he can push the ball in transition. You put shooters around him. And when you're in the half court set, then you got him playing more inside near the basket. So I'm looking at that if I'm Portland, because I don't know what I'm getting better. I know Dame is great and he'll get some good offers, but Ben Simmons is young. He can learn. He can improve. So I'd be looking at that if I was both teams. All right.